بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Hadith number 19. عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يعتكف الأشهر الأواخر من رمضان متفق عليه. This hadith has been recorded by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim rahimahumullah in their Sahihain, and it has been narrated by Hazrat Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would perform i'tikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan. This hadith is talking about the spiritual retreat that the Muslims do in the last 10 days of Ramadan. I'tikaf, a spiritual retreat. In the books of ahadith and the books of fiqh, there is a totally separate chapter on i'tikaf. And many ulama, scholars of Islam, has written separate books about the virtues, about the importance, and about the rulings of i'tikaf. There are so many ahadith relating about the i'tikaf. It's a complete concept, a whole different concept that a person dedicates himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in i'tikaf. There are three types of i'tikaf. I will go very quickly, just mention about briefly about these three i'tikaf. Number one is wajib i'tikaf. Wajib i'tikaf is a person vows, nazar. A person vows that, for example, if I pass in my exam, I will do i'tikaf. Now, if I pass in my exam, it is mandatory, it is wajib to do i'tikaf. Right? That becomes wajib. The second type of i'tikaf is sunnati mu'akkada. That is the i'tikaf that is done in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, in the month of Ramadan. That is called sunnati mu'akkada. In the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every year he used to do i'tikaf in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and the last Ramadan of his life he did 20 days of i'tikaf. So this is called sunnati mu'akkada i'tikaf, that every year the Muslims, they try their best to do i'tikaf in the masajid. And the third type of i'tikaf is optional i'tikaf. Optional i'tikaf is that when a person enters into the masjid and he makes the intention that as long as I am in the masjid, I have the intention of i'tikaf. So even though that person is just passing through the masjid, inside the masjid, he goes for prayers, and no matter what time it is, a second, a minute, an hour, he remains in the masjid, he will get the reward of i'tikaf, inshallah. So this hadith talks about the sunnati mu'akkada i'tikaf. As we know, our life, our own selves, we get so much busy in our life, so much busy in this worldly life. We are busy with our family, we are busy with our work, we are busy in enjoying our life, this life. We get busy. Even though we try our best to follow the commandments of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our day-to-day life. But sometimes, the connection that we are supposed to have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't have that connection. And this is a good way to build up that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to dedicate our time and especially these last 10 days in the month of Ramadan, to dedicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we can build up that connection that has been lost because of being busy in this worldly life. So we should try our level best to make an intention, if not this Ramadan, the next Ramadan, that we are going to spend some time in i'tikaf in the month of Ramadan. You know, we do take our time from work. We get offs for a week, for 2 weeks. Why not 1 year we take off just for this intention to stay in the masjid for i'tikaf? And even though we cannot do the sunnat muakkada i'tikaf, but in the month of Ramadan, at least we can go into the masjid and make the intention of the nafil i'tikaf, the optional i'tikaf, and we stay there for a while, for half an hour, for an hour, for a couple of hours, just by yourself. Turn off your cell phones, turn everything off, leave the worldly life behind, even if it's for 10 minutes and half an hour. Just build that connection again with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that strong connection, and then you will see the difference of your life. There will be a change in you see the change in your life, inshallah, the how peace and tranquility is falling upon you, inshallah. And Imam Ata rahimahullah, one of a very great, a big scholar in Islam, he says that a mu'takif, a person who sits in i'tikaf, is just like a needy person who goes to the door of a king, that I am not going to leave from here until my needs are fulfilled. So a mu'takif should have this type of an attitude, that he's a needy person. He's in need of the forgiveness of Allah. He is in need of the mercy of Allah. He is in need of the pleasure of Allah. And he sits in the masjid and he has the intention that, Ya Allah, I am not going to leave until you are going to forgive me, until you are going to shower your blessings upon me, until you are pleased with me. So this is how a attitude of a mu'takif should be. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Rule number 19. While fasting, a person took snuff, put some oil in his ears, or took an enema without taking any medicine orally, the fast will break. However, only qaza will be wajib and not kafara. If he puts water in his ears, the fast will not break.